Hello. Greetings and salutations. Last night was a fascinating live stream. I had a lot of people. It's very engaging. Some are kind of monotone. Other live streams are very active. I had like about 450 people there. Had good conversations going. I apparently made people laugh like crazy, which is always a good thing. People need to wake up and find a thing or two to be grateful for, and also to laugh. I don't trust anybody that doesn't have a sense of humor. Absolutely do not trust. I've been onslaughted via email and information sources, and I checked on these. Some of them are blatantly obvious, and it's, I don't know whether to call this a slow roll to hell or, you know, it's just distressing. There's a lot of different points. I'd like to take these in no particular order and then give you a quote from a book called The Story of the Committee of 300 by John Coleman. It was written 30 years ago, and see how apropos you think it is to what's going on. I don't know if you saw what's going on in Brazil, by the way. It was a siege on the capital. There's a lot of videos that I was looking at on Twitter. I'm not actually on Twitter, but you can still look at the videos on there. The two Brazilians that I asked, and apparently this seems to be the sentiment, are afraid of the tyranny that's actually coming down in Brazil. I know Bolsonaro fled 2 days before he was supposed to hand over power, and he's in, I forget which town, in southeast Florida. There's pictures and video of him actually cruising a Publix grocery store. I'm not interested in actually taking one side or the other on this, because that would be highly inappropriate on many different levels, and also too frowned upon by social media, people that support this platform, so I can't do that. But I mean, I saw incredible video. Brazil, economically and strategically and resource-wise, is the most important country in South America. Something that made no news outlet here at all until last night, I believe, and that was not the regular media. All the media here in the United States is way worse than what I experienced in communist Russia, by the way. I kind of liked reading Pravda, Izvestia, and Sputnik, and some other hardcore propaganda, commie news stuff when I was in Russia, because it was kind of fun, like a crossword puzzle. You'd find the like bombastic propaganda in it, and you go, oh, you know, it's just ridiculous. That's the reason why I read it. It's actually way worse than the stuff that I experienced there. But France, I saw, I don't know what the exact count is, but easily tens of thousands of people protesting in the various places in France, primarily in Paris. One of the protesters quoted RIA Novosti that the poor in France are in extreme distress. They can't afford any treatments, food quality. They can't afford to feed themselves and pay electric bills. Earlier, a poll in France, I don't know how widespread it was, indicated that 52% of the French polled say that they want, not that there might be, but they want to see France face a total social explosion in the coming months. This is a poll. I'm not telling you my position on this. With the formation of yellow vest type of movement, none of this stuff is making the news over here. As an American, you know, I don't have health care. I haven't had health care for a very, very, very long time. One of the things that the Europeans and the Canadians love to like beat people over, the Americans over the head, oh, we get free health care. There's no such thing as free health care, by the way. The most expensive health care is free health care. It's never free. You always paid for it with VAT and radically high taxes. I mean, only stupid people, really and truly, only stupid people think free healthcare exists. That's not a political statement, it's a statement of fact. But I've known for decades now that socialized medicine would self-destruct, and of course it is. What's happening up in Canada with these, I'm just going to call them suicide, you call them euthanasia, I don't care what you want to call them. People that are advocating, excuse me, I'm going to edit that out of this video. I sneezed, so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's only like one sneeze per 7,000 videos. So sorry about that. Note to self, edit that out of this video. There's a lady, she's a veteran in Canada of the armed forces, I forget which, and she has to crawl around, her words, like a worm on the floor because she needs a lift, to get her in and out and up the stairs. And she says she's been waiting for 5 years for this and still hasn't got a veteran. And her doctor or her health advisor said to her, she was a para-Olympian, I forget her name, so sorry, said, have you considered assisted suicide? I mean, how satanic can you get? That's just satanic, This is the inevitable consequences of so-called free healthcare, and there's no such thing as free healthcare. None of the news in the United States is reporting what's going on in France. People in Denmark, I had a couple of people contact me that they want to shut off X amount of natural gas. You only have a certain allowance due to CO2 and other fake nonsense. And he said, don't you know that all our homes here are heated and cooking with natural gas, which I did not know that. Ukraine, by the way, is being shipped right now Patriot missile batteries and Bradley fighting vehicles. I don't know if you know what a Bradley fighting vehicle, but it's extremely fearsome. Every lying fool on the media, and listen, I'm all for people's lives. I'm on the side of the Ukrainians and I'm on the side of the Russian people. I didn't say governments, okay? I didn't say government. When I say Ukrainian people and Russian people, I'm talking about peoples. I'm not talking about institutions or flags or signs, okay? I'm on the side of people. I've been to Ukraine. I lived in Russia for quite a long time. So don't try to pin me down to either side on that, okay? I stand with the people, not with governments. That all the lying fools have been saying for weeks and months, actually, Ukraine's winning, Ukraine's winning. I mean, Hillary was, Ukraine's winning, Ukraine's winning. The foolish senator from Kentucky, what's his face? He looks like a turtle. What's his name again? Mitch McConnell. Yeah, Ukraine's winning. It turns out that's not the case at all. Robert Gates and Condoleezza Rice, who I have a lot of respect for, she used to be an expert on Russia, by the way. I said on the Washington Post, Ukraine's economy is in shambles. Millions of its people have fled, which is, of course, undeniable. Its infrastructure is being destroyed quickly. Much of its mineral wealth, industrial capacity, and considerable agricultural land are under complete Russian control. Ukraine's military capability and economy are now dependent almost entirely on lifelines from the West, primarily the United States. I've been saying this now for a year, since basically, it's a little less than a year, since this started, that Russia is not going to run out of conventional arms to inflict the onslaught. The question is, how much blood are they willing to suffer, the Russians? But Ukraine is in shambles. I mean, that's just undeniable. Yeah, there's almost nobody on the ground anymore in Ukraine from the West. It's just not. And everybody's lying to you and me and the Western world that, and I'm not for it or against it, okay? I'm just saying the billions and trillions that are being pumped into Ukraine and the endless military weaponry, and this serves so many purposes, the MIC, military-industrial complex, kickbacks, all sorts of nefarious things that I won't mention. It serves many, many, many deeds. I've said since day one, unfortunately, and I love the Ukrainians, that the U.S. Military and government unfortunately, does not really actually give a damn about the Ukrainians. They don't. I know this for a fact that they don't. the reason why they're helping is many, many reasons, but caring is not one of them. I hate to say that, but it's the truth. But Ukraine is in shambles. People that actually do know what's going on, confess this. We keep getting fed lies that the Russians are being pushed back, and this apparently is not the truth. Genuine experts with real connections say this is the case. I don't know if you've heard about the cartel wars that are ramped up big time down in Mexico, but there's a lot of deaths that are occurring in Mexico. I knew this was coming, just as they were talking about it in Europe, various places, not necessarily gas stoves, but trying to get everybody on one avenue of energy. If you got people on one avenue of energy, then you can crucify them. But like me, for example, I get electrical for power, obviously. But I use gas for stove and for heating the house. Here, at least, They're talking about eliminating gas stoves. U.S. Product Safety Commission announced Monday is considering banning gas stoves, blah, blah, blah. This is just global reset. They just want to get you on one form of power for your heating and your cooking and your lighting and your... That way they could destroy you. If you have multiple avenues, you can run a gas electrifier. You can actually cut off. It's like your electric gets too high. It's like, well, I'm still getting natural gas. I can do a natural gas to electricity conversion system, which is kind of expensive, but you have other options. They don't want you to have other options. Ask me again why I have hundreds of thousands of trees in the deep woods of Kentucky and a log burning stove. Ask me again that question. There's just so many things right now that are compiling together. It's just a slow roll to hell. They're trying to crush everybody. Food prices, I keep hearing from people in email. I was going to put some whipped cream on a slice of cheesecake. Oh, forgive me. Ultimate sin. And I wasn't talking about expensive whipped cream or an expensive grocery. It was nearly $8 for a can of whipped cream. I nearly... had a heart attack, which I shouldn't be eating any whipped cream, obviously, but that's just ridiculous. It used to be like $3.96 a can, and now it's $7.90-something a can. And Kroger's is not expensive. It's not some sort of la-di-da grocery store. This is from the Committee of 300, written by John Coleman about 30 years ago. Here we go. At least 4 billion useless eaters shall be eliminated by the year 2050. By means of limited wars, organized epidemics, fatal, rapid-acting diseases, and starvation, energy, food, and water shall be kept at subsistence levels for the non-elite, starting with, I'm going to paraphrase here, ethnic populations of Western Europe and North America, and then spreading to other ethnicities. The population in Canada, Western Europe, and the United States will be decimated more rapidly than other continents until the world's population reaches a manageable level of 1 billion, of which 500 million will consist of blah, 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 blah. I'm going to get to the other part down here, regimented by centuries. Anyway, from time to time there should be artificially contrived food and water shortages. They're already doing that. That's already well underway. Fertilizer, remember they're cutting on, oh yeah, fertilizer is wrecking the planet. Total bunk. Total bunk. Oh my God, we're going to cut back on fertilizer, destroying second largest producer of food on the planet, the Netherlands. Yeah, oh no, and people that have had their farms for many, many centuries in the family. No, you can't farm anymore. They make fertilizer so expensive. No, you can't use fertilizer. They're basically shutting them out of business. So this is already happening. Destruction of from the time to time, artificially contrived food and water shortages and medical care shortages to remind, that's already happening too, masses that their very existence depends on the goodwill of the Committee of 300. After the destruction of housing, auto, steel, and heavy goods, which is already happening, full steam. I was at, my car needs a water inlet something from the coolant, and I was at Toyota on Nicholasville looking to get it fixed, and I said, any new vehicles? I said, no, there's no new vehicles out there. Everything's used. I talked to several dealerships. They have no new vehicles to sell. Heavy goods industry should be limited housing. That's already happening. Guess who's buying them up? See this black rock I got in my hand here? In industries of any kind allowed to be remain shall be under the direction of NATO's Club of Rome, shall be a scientific space exploration development limited to the elite, and under the control of the Committee of 300. This is all, 95% of what is mentioned here is already under full steam. That's from this book from 30 years ago by John Coleman called The Story of the Committee of 300. I have to finish off this video with the most important part of this video. I don't make this video to instill fear in anybody. Oh, people say, you're fear-mongering. I heard a few of those comments. I don't do that. I have no interest in doing that to anybody. But to tell you, for God's sakes, prepare. Stop going about your daily work in life, just doing everyday stuff like you always do, which is fine. You have to pay the bills and feed the family, obviously. Every day you should be doing one little damn thing that helps you avoid, falling into a pit of when, things start closing in around us, you, me, everybody. Asset diversification, retreat location, potentiality, if that means owning a land or a cabin in the woods or making arrangements with somebody to, have an acre of their 100-acre farm in exchange for helping them farm or whatever. That's a contingency plan. Stocking food, non-perishable foods. Every day, even if it's something small, every day you're doing something. Otherwise, you're going to get caught with, as they say here in America anyway, you get caught with your pants down. Not literally, figuratively, caught with your pants down. That's not good for you. It's not good for me. Everybody keeps talking about gold and silver. It's like, well, that's nice. You got gold and silver. Now that you got it, how are you going to keep it? Like, what? Well, you got it, but how are you going to keep it? I'm going to trade you that box of food for my pile of silver. Oh, let's see your silver. There it is. Okay, they knock you over the head for your silver. Having something is one thing. Being able to keep it and hold on to it is another. You need to consider that. Most people are not bright enough to consider. There's a reason why Fort Knox is, surrounded by a minefield and 3 layers of fence, and also, too, surrounded by the world's largest tank training facility where thousands and thousands of tanks exist, 10 feet thick walls of steel reinforced concrete, and every alarm system known to man. There's a reason for that. Having it is one thing, keeping it is another. And that applies not just to gold or silver, but to you, your family, your chillin'. That's what they say in the South. Instead of children, they say chillin'. You and your chillin'. Your possessions, what you need to survive. Not like your Chippendale furniture, the things you need to survive. When I say possessions in dire times, I'm talking about things that sustain you, keep you sane and fed and rational. Chance favors a prepared mind. Those who are not prepared will suffer the consequences. I hate to say that, but it's absolutely the truth. There are a lot of things that are not making the news is already evil and corrupt and lying filth. You know it, I know it if you have a half a brain. There are big things happening in this world, and they're not being reported on basically by anybody. One of the great advantages of social media with all its downfalls and whatnot is that real people email me real information. And some of it is toe curling, as they say. Curl your toenails. Be prepared. Do something every day to prepare, even if it's just something small that takes 5 minutes to do. All of that stuff adds up. Do it for yourself and your family.